this is kind of a combination topic I want to talk about because it was a question that I got, but then it's also something that's been kind of like at the forefront of my life for the past maybe like 2 months now, month and a half. So back in February, I went and I got my blood work done. And as it turns out, I have, well, not even had, yeah, I currently have extremely low testosterone. And my goal in talking about this is not to like for a pity thing or like to because we're gonna get into TRT and all that kind of stuff. I'm not trying to proliferate drug usage or testosterone abuse or usage. Everything I'm about to talk about, I'm doing under supervision of a doctor, whether that's my primary care, the endocrinologist I'm signed to, and the nursing staff under them. I'm doing everything under supervision of medical staff. But anyway, I've just always been like a super tired and fatigued person. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm pretty much tired 100% of the time. I've always got an energy drink, always some sort of caffeine, always some sort of food around me, except for obviously when I was cutting for the competition. And so anyway, I finally did something about it, and I got my blood work done. And as it turns out, I had extremely low testosterone. When I first got tested, my testosterone levels were at 215. And to kind of put this into perspective for anyone who doesn't really understand a whole lot about this, I still don't, to be completely honest. All the information I'm telling you guys are either information that I got from a doctor, people that I know that have a large background in this, or just any kind of internet research I've been able to do over the past couple of months. So, as a 24-year-old male who's healthy, I've never taken steroids, never taken testosterone, I've never abused opiates. I don't abuse drugs. I don't abuse alcohol. I have a pretty healthy diet. Even when I was not competing, I always have a decently healthy diet. But when I was doing this, I took my blood work in the middle of my prep. So this is when I've been at my healthiest. Healthy diet, decent amount of sleep. I normally operate around 5 to 6 hours. But now I'm even trying to get 7 to 8, and we'll get into that. But so I got my blood work done, and my test levels came back at 215 or so. And to put that in perspective, a average male my age has anywhere between 600 to 900, even upwards of 1100, right? The common consensus that I found is 1100 to 1200 is the cap of like a normal adult male. But that's the goal, right? So let's set the goal at between 600 and 1100. And I'm at 215. And so my primary care was like, yeah, that's super low, but we're going to get you retested because I don't want to start you on TRT if it was just a miscount or they messed something up, whatever it was. So about 3 weeks later, I get my blood drawn again. And my test levels actually dropped in that time. They went from about 215 to around 278, 258. So it's getting worse, actively getting worse. And we don't know why. So, in finding all this out, he's like, okay, well, I don't really know why this is happening. And there's one of two reasons this could be happening. One reason is you could have a problem with your thyroid. Another reason is that you could have a growth, a mass, a tumor, something in the pituitary gland in your brain, and that is basically what helps. Like, it does a lot of things, but for this purpose, it helps produce and secrete hormones such as testosterone to go down to your endocrine system and distribute it throughout your body. Well, so basically, I could have had a brain tumor. Luckily today, I got the news back from the endocrinologist. There is no brain tumor, so that's pretty awesome. But now the question is, well, what is causing this in my body, right? Obviously, the answer is TRT. But the question is still, well, what's causing it? Is it preventable or reversible? And then how long has this been going on? I don't know if that last one will ever get answered, but assuming this isn't a recent thing, of various theories and conspiracies go around about what's happening with men's health over the recent 2 years, since 2020. But assuming this is something I've been dealing with my whole life, I've been like a tired person ever since pretty much I hit puberty. So assuming that this is like a thing that I've been dealing with, and this is something that's built into me or not built into me, however you want to look at it. I'm gonna have to be on TRT or some sort of testosterone replacement, some sort of something, it seems like. And this is coming from the doctor too, right? I'm gonna have to be on this for the rest of my life. Unless they're able to raise my levels and get them stable and my body can produce it on its own, I'm gonna have to be on TRT for the rest of my fucking life. Which is ironic because I have a severe fear of needles. So the fact that God has given me a condition where I have to get injected almost every week for the rest of my life is fucking phenomenal. But one of the questions that I got in the poll was, what has my experience been with this? Well, it's been, do you have a brain tumor? So no, I don't, thankfully. But one of the questions that I had was, what is your experience on testosterone? Has it helped you? How long have you been on it? Why did you get on it? Because I had mentioned it in a couple episodes. So that's why I got on it, right? A doctor put me on it because I have severely low testosterone. They started me on it in the beginning of March, I think. Yeah, beginning of March, and I get injected once every 2 weeks. And up until tomorrow, so I'm filming it right now on the 11th. Tomorrow's the 12th of April. Tomorrow, I'm getting injected with 150 milligrams of testosterone right into the thigh. Beforehand, it's been every 2 weeks, and it has been 100 milligrams. And I had the conversation today with the endocrinologist, and she told me, you don't have a brain tumor, you have a mass. That's awesome. But we were getting to the conversation of, has the testosterone been helping me? Has it made me feel any better? And the answer, in short, is no. It has not helped me. I'm still tired as shit. Any other symptoms that I've been dealing with haven't really gone away. The only real change physiologically or physically that I have felt recently, and I think this is mostly a product of the competition being done, me eating again normally, me training normally. I'm getting a lot of my strength back. And anyone who's done any sort of like cutting for some sort of how I put it, some sort of sporting event or a competition of any kind knows that you get super weak when you're losing all that weight. When you start eating again, training normally again, you get all that back. And that's what I'm dealing with right now. And a great example of that is 2.5 weeks ago, I started lifting again. I took my PRs and I was bench pressing 185 pounds. And for me, that's pretty damn good anyway, because bench press has always been a super weak element of my training. Well, this morning when I trained my chest, I went and did bench press, and I bench pressed 185, which is my PR. Bench pressed that 4 times, twice. And that's in the span of 2.5 weeks. Now, there's a lot of things that go into that factor, right? There's the fact that I'm eating again. And again, in the spirit of transparency, just to get into what my macro breakdown and what my caloric breakdown is right now. Let's see. So right now, this is an everyday thing. And I can confidently say that over the last 2.5 weeks, I have hit this goal every fucking day. I can confidently say that. So 3,500 calories a day. And then when you get into the macros, I'm eating 306 grams of carbohydrates, it's 35%, 350 grams of protein, which is 40%, and then 97 grams of fat, which is 25%. And I usually go over on my fat because I just really don't give a shit right now. But I never really go over on my sugar, which is nice. And I just hate this. Sugar weighs me down, and I just really have that shitty feeling. I hate that. But so that's my macro breakdown. And, when you compare 3,500 calories a day to the 1,100 that I was eating the last 10 days of the competition, I'm literally eating more than 3 times in one day than I did in one. In one day, I eat 3 times more now than I was, 3 weeks ago. So that's a huge change to the body, right? And then the fact that I think I got down to about 7 to 8% body fat by the time that show was all said and done. So going from that and gaining back and eating more, my body's starving, literally, right? So it's just trying to get all the nutrients it can. It's trying to get all of anything that it can out of the food to enhance itself, repair itself, and move forward. So now you get into the training aspect. I'm training a lot. I'm not a lot heavier, but I am training heavier, and I am doing shorter sets. So like When I was at the end of the competition, I was doing sets of like 12 to 15, upwards of 20. Excuse me. But now I'm doing like sets of like I think my highest set is like a set of 12, but really they're mostly in between the range of like 8 to 10 or 4 to 6, right? Because I do want to get heavier and I do want to get stronger. And then to put an example, like for bench press, I wasn't benching more than, oh, I don't feel like doing math right now. Let's see. Let's pull up a calculator. I wasn't bench pressing more than 95 pounds. Yeah, about 95 pounds to 105, 115, whatever that is, right? I wasn't benching more than that because I didn't want to hurt myself. And now, I just did 185 4 times, twice. Whenever I was doing my like front squats, for instance, right? I wouldn't front squat more than the bar. Like I would only do my 45 pounds because that's how weak I was. That's how tired I was. And that's what I could do comfortably, but still push myself and still lose the weight. And the last thing I wanted obviously was an injury. So I didn't really want to push myself too hard. So I think with all of that and the muscle maturity of it being broken down so much, now getting back up, I think the strength is pretty normal. And from what I've been told by not only my coach, that Poncho is how was coaching me, but a couple other guys that I know, I'm sure you people who've watched the podcast can guess who I'm talking to about all this, considering how proliferant weightlifting and steroids and that kind of stuff has been on this podcast. So yeah, that's what's going on with me right now as far as that goes. Now, starting tomorrow, I'm on 150 milligrams every 2 weeks, 300 milligrams of test a month. Hopefully, it brings me back up. Like, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not an endocrinologist. I don't know when I'm supposed to get where, but I would like to be at like 500, 600 by July or ish, I know this can't happen overnight, and I have no intention of wanting it to happen overnight. It's just like training has to be incremental to build your body up to it. You can't just start doing. Well, I can't start doing just a buttload of tests and hope that it works. Like I know I have to build up to it, but just to be completely honest, I'm just sick of being tired all the time. I'm sick of being just fatigued and needing caffeine and needing just something to always keep me going. So finally, now that I have a solution to it, that's great. And I'm sure it'll come up again whenever I find out what caused this.